Texting. Welcome back. Segment 2 here on a Thursday. Dr. Giggles is back.
Thank you for texting.
Yes, thank you for texting. Dr. Giggles, line 1. He's back, ladies and gentlemen. It is Thursday right now, right in the NFL preseason game, second game of the preseason. Right now we got a Donnie up in Foxborough, New England Patriots 21, Giants 20, and a thriller in Manila. Nobody gives a flog's fat ass. Who we care? Really don't care about tomorrow's injury report. Let's be realistic here. But anyway, it's a Donnie, so for the fans of it, at least they're getting their money's worth, somewhat. So we are back, segment 2 here on a Thursday from the mid-sack.
And there's something else meaningless going on at this exact same moment.
Which would be
us. Well, that too. The Chicago Cubs are playing the Cincinnati Reds in Iowa on a fake baseball field. The Field of Dreams.
How do you call that a fake field when people can play on it?
A fake baseball field.
Professional.
So, they like to go out there and reenact Field of Dreams. And somehow the MLB made the horrible mistake of sending the Cubs and the Reds in a year where they're both an atrocity. So
they are an atrocity.
There's a meaningless game in Iowa, like MLB showcase game, and it has two just non-competitive teams, I feel like. So, while the Pats are playing the Giants and no one cares, the Cubs are playing the Reds and no one cares. But we wanted to talk a little bit about why I feel like NFL preseason games are so meaningless. And I don't mean meaningless. They're hard to watch. I do not like watching them. You've said it before. They are necessary. I respect the fact that these people are out there trying to get jobs. These people are competing. I respect all of that. But I cannot watch it. It drives me crazy because when I see something happen that's good for my team, I'm immediately reminded that the other team has their third string in, Or when I see something happen good for my team, I'm immediately reminded the guy he just burned to the end zone, he's not going to have a job in the NFL next week. So it's no matter how good it goes for my team, I can't get happy about it. And when it goes bad, it feels bad, just as bad as it does in the regular season. Do you feel that? When your team gets trashed in the preseason, does it bother you?
No, because here's the thing, and I understand why you feel that way.
Does your team ever get trashed in the preseason?
Yeah, they've gotten thumped pretty good.
In the last 20 years?
Yes, they have.
Okay. Okay.
What I would say to that is this.
Maybe you could change my opinion.
I understand that opinion because that's a very large opinion, and there's a reason for that.
You think so?
Yes, I do. I've talked to a number of people who feel that way. You're not the only one. In fact, to me, that's the more common one. Okay, and I get it.
So you have an uncommon opinion on this?
You
don't feel the same?
Here's the thing. Do I want to go personally and watch it? Here's the reason why I would. No, hold on. Let me finish. You're just shaking your head. Let me finish what I'm saying.
You asked the question out loud, and I shook my head.
I'm saying here's why I.
Well, don't ask yourself the question.
I'm not at. Are you let me finish?
You said, "Do I want to personally go and watch it?" And I shook my head. No, I don't.
I meant me. I is me. I didn't say you. I said
don't
you.
Ask yourself a question. Just say it. Say, I don't want to go personally watch it.
Where's that damn shirt? Listen. Oh, his mouth was open. He wasn't like you. Listen. Anyway,
what are you, Brett Favre, when he's retiring?
Listen.
Did I love the game of football? Yes, I love the game of football. Do I think I could play a few more years? Of course I do. And could I possibly...
Brett Favre actually said that?
Dude, Brett Favre was the king in press conferences asking himself questions. It's
I've heard a number of athletes do that.
Do I still love being a Green Bay Packer? Of course.
I've heard a number of athletes do that before Brett Favre ever did it. Okay, that's more... What I'm saying is the reason...
He famously did it in his multiple retirement speeches. Seriously, he did.
And this irks you. I'm guessing.
Yeah,
this is nothing I can do.
I can't stand when somebody asks himself a question. Like you just did.
Why they? That's not intentional.
I know.
It's just. It's not even.
I'm trying to get you out of that unintentional habit.
It's not. What is so bad about it? Why does it drive you nuts?
Why would you ask yourself a question?
I'm trying to set up if I don't know. People have been doing this before I was born.
Okay,
I've
heard it's a setup technique.
Yes. I've heard I've heard doctors use it. I've heard teachers say it. I've heard everybody on the planet say it.
No, we gotta go.
So it's not like it's a mistake.
Just because everybody on the planet does it doesn't mean it's the shit.
I'm just saying it's common, just because it irks you for some ungodly reason.
Many common things are the wrong things.
Tom, you are an anal. Like the shit that pisses you off, 99% of the population doesn't give a fuck about. You're the 1% that goes right up your ass.
But here's the funny thing.
You really should be on Seinfeld. You would fit in so well with Costanza. In fact, you would be better than Costanza.
Here's the thing, though. This is why I think I'm a happy person. This is why I think I'm a happy person.
Okay.
Because that's not something that, like, I have to deal with all the time.
Little
random things irritate me, but they're not things that impact my life, so they don't make me unhappy in life.
You lost me there. So by you not just saying what I said, which a lot of people say, normal people say, it takes a lot of stress out of your life because you don't say things like that, or you don't.
No. That's not what I'm saying.
What are you saying?
I'm saying the things that irk me.
Yes.
Like they're like little tiny random details
that don't matter.
And I barely have to deal with them. That's what I'm saying. Other things in life don't really irk me that much. So I feel like
that's what I can't understand about you. The big shit doesn't bother you. It's the little shit that does.
There are some little minor details that sometimes get on my nerves.
Why does this bother you? But it's like.
But that's what I mean. It bothers me, but it's really not significant in my life.
Can I make my point about this?
I'm enjoying having an argument. You know?
Here's why. That's what part of the charm.
Right.
Here's why I am okay with this. Okay. I understand.
With preseason football?
Yes, because it's a necessary evil. I have no problem watching it because it helps. First of all, it helps me as a fan of the team. If I'm interested, by the way, because you don't have to watch preseason. By the way, you don't have to watch preseason football.
Helps you get to know the team?
Well, not just that, but it helps you understand, like, gives you a hint of what the coach is thinking, where the organization, what their plan is. Do they even have a plan? Like, why is this guy even here? What does he do? This man's dropped 5 balls. They've all hit him in the hands. Why do they? What the hell am I missing here? Like, this is the stuff that I want to know, because that clown somehow makes the roster because he's cheaper. But a guy who's proven and didn't want to pay, that's going to piss me off, and I want to know it. So if the team fails, I want to be able to criticize my team and know what I'm talking about.
I don't know that much about football to view preseason football like that.
Baseball. They have preseason baseball, right? Mm-hmm. You telling me there's nothing you get out of that?
No, I've watched many Mets spring training games.
Do you think there's anything that the coach or the manager gets out of that?
Oh, no. Like I said, it's definitely necessary.
Okay.
I never argue that it is necessary. I'm saying it shouldn't be televised. I don't want to watch it. But I think maybe you've just kind of cracked it for me. Because I don't know the X's and O's of football the way I know the X's and O's of baseball. Or even basketball. Yeah. I know basketball well, too. Mm-hmm. So I think because I don't know football that well, the game itself, the organized game, I never played it. I played it in the backyard.
Yeah.
I think maybe I don't see all those little details that you're picking up on in preseason football. Whereas if the Mets are in spring training, I will turn on a spring training game to see what prospects could make the team. You know, to see are the stars having a good spring. So now,
are they healthy, injured? Who's injured?
Exactly.
Are they coming back?
Exactly.
And preseason's a great thing if you're trying to get a guy back off an injury. Preseason's a good thing to have because then you can get them kind of going before you just throw them into the fire.
Yeah. No, and you also like in spring training you get to see, okay, how's the manager going to put together the lineup? You know, what's he going to do? You know, with the 5-6 hole versus the 2-3-4. So I think I don't know. This conversation has made me realize, okay, maybe it's something I can't watch because I'm not that in the weeds about football. But now I'm realizing anyone who is probably does get some enjoyment out of it.
There are people at those games, man, and they are happy to be there for a number of reasons. In the case of the Patriots, who the waiting list for tickets when I left New England 5 years ago was almost 10 years. Mm-hmm. So what if you suddenly get tickets to a preseason game at half the price because preseason tickets are
without a doubt.
Well, if they have preseason, you can't do that. So
but here's the thing.
And then there's the whole thing about wanting to know what this team's going to look like. What path are they taking with their offense? Like in your case, how are they setting up this pitching rotation? Do we have a closer yet? Do they use those 12? How many preseason games does baseball play?
A month.
Okay, a month. Okay, so say what, 15, 20 games? maybe? Something like that? Okay. So that 20 games, they're really trying to develop a closer or get rotation set up to our middle relief or whatever, and they need those games to sort that shit out. So there are a lot of reasons for it, not just trying to make a roster. Yes, that's part of it, but depending on the sport, it could be just as or more important to get your game plan in terms of where you want, the direction you want to go with this team. So, and by the way, your opponent, they're playing for the same shit you're playing for, so there is meaning behind them. We sit there and go, well, it doesn't count in the standings. No,
There go what?
well, it doesn't count in the standings. So who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Okay? And I get why you think that. I'm just saying that these guys who are trying to fight for jobs, they got to see them against live competition.
Yeah.
They got to see them against guys who are also fighting for jobs. Because then they know that the guys they're beating are giving it everything they got, so they ain't beating them on the day they were laying down. No, there's probably 8 guys in that roster that they may get cut tomorrow. So you know what they're going to bring? They're going to bring their A++ game because their career might depend on it. You want to see your guy against that. You want to see that kind of competition. But then you know. But then you have a frame of reference.
Yeah, but I'm saying the person who's given their A effort might suck.
They won't. Maybe. Well, first of all, given the scenario, that guy's probably not there. If he's down in the final cut, he's pretty darn good.
Yeah, but
if he gets cut,
this is the first game.
I'm saying that I'm fine. But still, if it's a guy coming off injury like Saquon Barkley, you want to ratchet him up, get him some carries, see how he's looking. I mean, these games have value. It's different reasons for different scenarios.
I think it just goes back to my love of the game.
I
don't love it as much as baseball.
No, but you watch the Mets preseason, don't you?
Yes, no. So now I'm agreeing with what you're saying. Now, for me, because I don't love it, it still doesn't have that value to me.
No.
And I never see myself
But now
watching football like that.
You also have the added element of fantasy football. You're an owner now. You got to look at some players. There might be a guy that you see that people are looking at. Oh, I could pick him up in the 4th round.
I don't care that much.
You should start. There's money involved. I mean, you may never see it, DJ. Sorry, DJ.
DJ, have you played out yet?
DJ, dude, it is August 11th.
Has DJ played out yet?
I'm only bringing that up because it is August 11th, and our season ended when? Before the NFL playoffs actually started.
Really?
Yes. It ends.
Oh, that's right. It was January.
It's before the playoffs even start.
January.
It's around Christmas time, like a little after Christmas. I think it's before New Year's. I don't know, but it's like the point is.
I think DJ took that pile of money and he's been investing in Bitcoin.
He better, because we may be getting a cut of it.
And now he's going to give us like $75,000.
I hope that's
actually.
true. I hope that's
Bitcoin's
true.
been getting dragged through the.
DJ,
bucket.
if that's true, I take back everything I ever said about you.
Maybe he's just been betting on FanDuel with it.
Maybe he owes some money to Moose and Rocco. Maybe that's the problem.
FanDuel.
Maybe he does. You never know.
Oh, but there was one thing I wanted to add.
Yes.
So saying preseason games, don't like them in football. I do watch them sometimes in baseball. Also, I hate going to a football game. I hate being live at a football game.
I love it. I love the tailgate.
Whereas I love the
baseball
game.
If you've been to a good tailgate, and he knows what I'm talking about. And you go through the parking lot, and you just smell the food on every side, and people are throwing the ball around. It's especially when your team is good. It's even more fun when they're good.
That part is awesome.
That's
the game
awesome.
is no bueno.
Bullshit. If you're playing against a top team, that's a big game. That's a fun game. Or a playoff game. I bet. You been to a playoff game? Oh, they're amazing. They're absolutely. You're not. First of all, you don't sit for 3 hours. You're like, and you're not because you want to sit. You don't. You're like.
But there's something about live football. I can't follow the game the same way. I think I'm like conditioned to have all the replays and the angles, and I'm like, when I'm up in the stands, I'm like, what the hell is going on?
You're also the same guy that gets irked because a person asked themselves a question to set up something. So I'm saying a lot of weird things irk you that don't irk most people.
What's the other weird thing?
When you say that to me, look what you just said about how you can't go to a game that counts. I understand preseason, but a game that counts, like really, I mean, yeah, and you get a chance to see maybe your favorite player. Like you wouldn't want to go see Tom Brady live, the greatest. Are you kidding me?
I'm not saying I wouldn't do it, but my thing is this: like,
I'd rather be able to say I was
sitting
there.
on the couch watching it with my family or with my friends. It's a better experience. Driving however many hours to the closest stadium, paying crazy amounts for parking, sitting in the rain sometimes, it's usually cold, sitting in traffic on the way out, driving 4 hours home, it doesn't add up. It just doesn't add up. Now, that tailgate, that sounds like it might add up.
That by itself, right? So,
But the game itself, I would rather us do tailgate in Mike's garage, and then we watch the game together. To me, that's better.
you know what the greatest sporting event I was ever at was?
That pickup game I was in last week.
No, that was second. 2001 divisional playoff. Oakland Raiders at the New England Patriots in that monsoon, that nor'easter that hit.
Is that the Tuck game?
That's the Tuck game. Greatest sporting event I've ever been to in my life. And there was snow. By the third quarter, the field crew just gave up. They could not. They were going up and down with every time. They could not keep up with it. I had to keep doing this. Because by the end of a 4 downs possession, my hat it was unfucking believable, and it was the greatest time of my life. And the Raiders, who I have perpetually hated my entire childhood, the only things worse than the Raiders were the Lakers, the Yankees, the Cowboys, things like the Canadians, things like that. But the Raiders are in that top tier.
You hated the Raiders?
I hated them with a fire of 1,000 something.
Al Davis?
1976, the phantom interference call on Ken Stabler, the Snake.
How old were you?
Madden was the coach. I was 3.
You don't even remember it.
Oh, I'll never forget it.
Get out of here.
It was. I had.
When you were 3?
I heard that story every fucking year
But you didn't live through it.
2000. I was 3 years old. I was alive. I did live through it. And I was 3 years old. I could hear my father.
You remember living through it?
I remember my father ranting about it.
You have memories from when you were 3 years old?
I have that memory because the rant was so.
Hold on.
My father.
Stop this right here.
My father.
We gotta stop this before we go further.
Mm-hmm. There are things I remember when I was 3. Not many.
3?
Things. Yeah, 3.
All right, so you have that memory and that's it.
No, there's a couple other ones, but that's the one I'm going to mention on the air. So,
I mean,
those ones are embarrassing. But so
I don't think I might have like flash.
Now here's the thing. Well, this is the thing. Here's the thing. I remember. No, but here's the.
I can't remember anything.
No, but here's the thing.
Unless there was a family video taken of it.
Here is the thing. Okay, which uncle was it? They were all over. They were all over the house watching this playoff game. My dad hosted this party, football, Patriots.
So you weren't even.
I was in the house. I was there. I was there. Okay, so. I'm not watching it. I'm in the room playing with my stuff, you know.
You don't remember that?
No, I don't. I asked my mother to explain this to me because I remember the rant. And
the story's been told to you so much it feels like you remember it.
I remember the rant, and I asked my mother many years later, what was he? I remember this. What was he? I remember our uncles were all over the house. I think that there was the Patriots playing. What happened? Why do I remember this rant? And then
it was a bad pass interference call.
It didn't happen. I've seen the replay of that video since then. It didn't. Talk about bad. This wasn't something that was actually a rule. This was not. It didn't have. You look at the replay, you're like, that's not pass interference. It was like the one. It was as bad as the one. Remember the Vikings and the
Saints.
The Saints. It was as bad as that.
But that was interference.
It was. Yeah, it was the opposite. That was blatantly. He got bent over basically, and like that was.
The guy left his feet.
He took him out. It was so obvious. I'm like, what? This was the exact opposite of that. If you watch that and you don't care about either team, you're like, wow. If I was a Pats fan, I'd be pissed.
So you hated the Raiders all because of that?
Yeah, because my father. Well, you take on your parents' teams, and then you also take on their hates. My father taught me. My father's the reason I hate the Yankees. Okay, my father's the reason I hate the Lakers. My father's the reason I hate the Canadiens. Because that was being bred in me from the time I could crawl. Rule 1, you hate the Yankees. Rule 2, you hate the Lakers. Rule 3, you hate the Jets. Rule 4, you hate that was the rules.
What was it for?
The Jets. The Canadiens were third. It was Yankees, Lakers, Canadiens, Jets.
The Canadians? Who were that?
Montreal Canadiens. The Bruins were.
Who was on the Canadians?
The Canadiens were the Yankees of hockey.
Did Gretzky play for the Canadians?
No.
Or was that the Kings?
They were better. They were like the Canadiens were like the Russian hockey team in the NHL. They were just so. They've got like 20-something Stanley Cups. They're amazing. They've stunk forever, and no one's come near what they've done. And they've stunk forever.
So y'all hated the Jets too?
Oh yeah, New York and the Pats and the Jets were the rivalry. New York and that was the right because we didn't play the Giants. The Giants were in the NFC.
I know, but it just feels like the Jets have never really been good.
They won Joe Namath.
I know, 1 year.
Well, They have been in the playoffs. They Klecko and Gastineau and those boys, the New York Sack, they were good then.
The Sack Exchange.
Yeah, they were very good then. They were about a 5-year run. They were very
They
good.
go deep in the playoffs?
They went to the divisional round twice.
No championship games, though?
They might have gone to one, but they lost. They didn't get to a Super Bowl, but they were in the playoffs pretty much every year. And they were good. But
This is actually getting me excited about football.
well, we're supposed to be getting excited about football. Both our teams are playing each other tonight, and you don't give a shit.
But God, it was just ugly.
My point is that there is value in these games, and there's more than one value to it.
That's true.
And we as fans
And some
do
of it
this.
is entertainment.
Yes, and we as fans don't stop and think, that guy could be bagging groceries tomorrow if he doesn't make this play. Because literally, that's what happens. And if you don't find an air of drama, especially week 3, oh, baby. But there are guys that won't get out of week 1 because of things they didn't do. Every week they cut guys. So you don't know. But what you do know is when you see poor play, you know, that sucker's not going to be here on Monday.
You know, Hard Knocks is starting.
No, I know. Who's got is it Jackson? No.
It's the Lions.
It's the Lions, right? Yeah. Talk about Hard Knocks. But so to me, and I understand his perspective, and I was about to say it, I don't disagree. but here's the thing, okay? That if you're a fan and you're paying, I'm not going to go see a game that doesn't count. I get that perspective. I'm not against that. Okay, I'm saying, but
Somebody gives me preseason tickets.
that's different.
I
You
might-
probably would take them, yeah. Especially if you got your son has never seen him play, and you're just, and if you've got a player on that you know is going to be in the Hall of Famer, you want to show your kid that guy because if they're good, you probably can't get season tickets, and now you got a chance to do it. So I'm saying that there's a multitude of reasons for these games.
Yeah.
I understand from the look. There's more chances for guys to get hurt. That's not good. So you got to limit the play because you got to keep the, you know what I mean? So there's reasons. There's pros and cons. to
Yeah, well,
this.
football's a crazy sport.
Well, it's a
Like,
collision sport.
you get hurt.
It's a collision sport. Even more so, football and hockey are collision sports. The difference is the average size of a football player is almost twice that of a hockey player. Okay, on average. There's no 330-pound NHL players. There just aren't any. Okay, they're not there. They're not that big. They can't.
You wouldn't be able to skate on that one.
Oh, no way. People wouldn't even want to hit you. They'd bounce off you.
I mean, like a lineman in skates, you just go right into the ice.
Yeah, but there are some linemen that can do it. Some of these guys, don't be fooled.
Oh, I'm not talking about they have the.
There are guys. John Hanna, who is still regarded by many as the greatest offensive lineman of all time. It's him in like Orlando Pace or Ogden. These guys, he's in that. This dude was a sick athlete. On top of the fact that he could hold up 2 guys at once, in pass block. He could pick up the nose tackle and the blitzer with one man. Okay, so he was Aaron Donald on the offensive line, John Hanna. Okay, so but the Patriots were never good except for 76 and 85 when they got robbed in 76, and John Hanna was on both those teams. So the bottom line is this is the thing about my hatred of the Raiders. But I mean, but that's where the preseason or things like that they do matter. They do matter. You just got to find you know what? You got to find the why. And if the why is these guys, every week these guys are playing for jobs, so you know you're going to, whatever they got, whether it's quality or not, you're going to see their best because they could be cut tomorrow.
You know what I think's happening to me?
What? You're getting old.
No. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
That just happens every day. But I think I'm becoming indifferent on the Giants. And it's causing me to become indifferent about the league.
You've been a Giants fan your whole life.
Not really.
Really? Well, how long? When did you start?
So me and my dad never really watched football that much. And my dad's a
Did your
Jets-
dad watch football?
Yeah, but not the way he watched baseball.
Okay, so that was his real passion.
He was a Jets fan.
Oh, that's why he didn't watch.
You know, and the Jets were awful.
Yeah.
Never on down
And
here.
eventually just resigned himself to the fact they were never going to be competitive.
So while I was growing up, he was more of a Marino fan.
Well,
It's funny because Marino, like Dolphins,
Italian.
Jets, but
He's Italian.
so my dad liked Marino.
Marino.
And I really didn't get in. I always called myself a Giants fan, but I never really watched the Giants. I think I have memories of Scott Norwood missing the kick.
Bill Parcells, Lawrence Taylor. Well, you were very young. Yeah,
I was born in 82.
LT's last year was like 91, I think.
So
you were like 9.
I think I have memories of Scott Norwood missing the kick. And I was rooting for the Giants for that game, but not really because I was a Giants fan. They were New York like the Mets and the Knicks. But then, when I was coming out of high school, I started to get more into football. And that's when I really started following the Giants. And it was like, Basically, right after they were really good, because they went to the Super Bowl. They stomped the Vikings and then got stomped by the Ravens.
Yeah, 0-1. They lost to the Ravens. Yeah. By the way, my guy who went to school, Greg Camelo, was on that team.
Yeah, you told me that.
Yeah, fullback.
And then after that, the Giants kind of fell off for a while.
Yeah.
And then eventually Eli came in. But yeah, I think I'm becoming indifferent on the Giants. Like, I don't.
You're like Morgan.
I'm concerned that they're not going to be good this year.
Morgan has become this way about the Commanders. Mm-hmm. And the Commanders won the playoffs 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. I mean, and gave Tampa Bay one hell of a game. That was a hell of a playoff game. And people
was that more about the Commanders and more about the fact that the NFC East was straight trash?
The Commanders were a good team, and I think they were.
Yeah,
yeah, they were. That defense the next year was a top 5 defense, and they got injured, and they got a lot of things happened to the Giants last year. I mean, the Redskins, not the Redskins, whatever they are, the Commanders last year. Injuries was part of it, especially to that defense. It wasn't as bad, I think, as Tampa Bay situation. It was pretty darn bad. And they played. By the way, they were a playoff game. They played a playoff schedule too, so they were playing better opponents. They were not healthy on the strength of their team, which was the defense.
So it was 2020 when they went to the playoffs.
Yeah,
they were 7-9
or 29. Were they 2019? Or was it 2021? I get confused. It was 2 years ago.
2021, they were 7-10.
Okay. So they got in a 7-9. How'd they get in a 7-9 record?
Because the division was trash. That's what I was saying.
Nobody finished over 500.
No.
Well, they gave Tampa Bay all they could handle.
Then 2019, they were 3-13.
Well, that was when they fired the coach, and the other guy came in and has been better. They fired the coach after that year.
But I'm saying they're trash.
They're not trash. They thought it was 33-28. It's the playoffs. You play.
They got in at 7-9.
Well, they obviously
didn't deserve to be there.
Somebody had to win that division. They're not going to just change a 100-year rule because there's a year 1 year where the division's just not good.
Okay. So maybe we're making different arguments here. Maybe they were a decent team that year.
They were.
The mediocrity and actually below averageness of the Washington football team for the past 20 years is
Daniel Snyder.
Like that.
Jerry Jones North, baby.
Like that 7-9 season doesn't really make up for all the disappointment that's happened to them. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say.
I'd say losing to the greatest football player that ever lived by 5 points, and they won the Super Bowl that year. Once again, cementing his legacy as the greatest fucking whatever.
Okay, you're right. The football team is an amazing team.
I didn't say they were amazing. I said they were good. I didn't say amazing. I didn't say Hall of Fame.
Not good. 7-9 is not good.
They got in the playoffs. They gave the eventual Super Bowl champions all they could handle. They did. They lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the playoffs in the first round.
They lucked their way into the playoffs.
Oh, you know what? You're going to make me do this. Anyway.
But look, the Giants almost got in that year. The Giants were trash. The Giants were 6-10.
Yeah,
and
it was terrible.
The Eagles were beating the Redskins in the final game of the season, and the Eagles pulled Jalen Hurts.
Higher draft pick.
And that's the only thing that let the Skins win that last game and get into the playoffs. It was such bullshit.
Well, when they got in, they made a good showing for themselves.
But they stunk.
But they got in. And when they got in, they didn't get embarrassed.
You know you're wrong.
No, I thought they were a good team.
Stop it.
Their defense was excellent second half of the season. That's why they were like that. I mean, there's a million reasons why they could have started out. What were they? Let me ask this: what were they the last 6 weeks of the season? Do you know what their record was the last 6 weeks? Maybe they got better as the year went on. Who knows? Maybe they were injured for part of the season and they got healthy in the second half of it. That's why they started out so slow. Who the hell knows?
The whole division sucked.
And maybe they would have been a 10-16 had they been healthy. I don't know. Do you know? You don't know.
They stunk.
Well, I know this. When they got to the playoffs, they gave the eventual Super Bowl champions all they could handle.
Okay, so Morgan, you shouldn't be indifferent about your team. They had a 7-9 playoff season 2 years ago where they lost the first game.
Better than a 3-13 season, and they didn't do anything.
Well, that's a low bar.
And what if they had scored in the last position and actually won that game? Then what? Would it have been worth it then? Because then they're just 8-9. But now they're in the division round of the playoffs. Would you take that? Would you? If I said to you, this drives me nuts. Would you take this? If I told you that the Giants were going to be 7-9, Oh, I'm sorry, 7-10 now because they've 17
I would
games.
take it.
And they get in the playoffs and they win that first game again. Would you take that?
I would take it even if they didn't.
Then don't trash. Then you need to be immune to this team. Because if
No.
you'll take that, then don't.
If my team backs its way into the playoffs, I'm going to be excited. But I also don't think it gets ownership and general management off the hook for having a mediocre product.
Actually, it pushes them to do better because you were in the playoffs. So now the expectation goes up. And when you're in there, you gave the world champions all they could handle.
No.
So they expect, now the fan base has higher expectations.
No.
You better be better next year. You better be able to find next year. You better be in the playoffs again. Because clearly you're capable of that if you guys play well.
What I think happens is when you back your way into something like that, it sends a
You make the
message.
sound. The back of the truck. When you
So
your way into something.
So we have different logic on this. You think when you back
Who
your
said
way
there was any
in,
logic involved here?
you always use logic
I
in
try.
emotional arguments. But this is a logic box. So look,
A logic box.
this is a logic
Right,
box.
it's a logic box.
So your thinking is when a team, backs into a playoff run, it signals to management that, okay, we need to double down. We need to sign people this offseason because, a couple more players and we could get over the top. But what I think it signals to bad ownership is, oh, we're good, yo. We got in the playoffs. We won our division this year. We're the team to beat. We don't even have to sign that many people.
But to your point, Tom, they won it in a year when the whole division was below 500.
Right.
But here's the thing.
And then they rested thinking we're good.
This particular fan base has 3 world championships. So they have a standard that was long before this dipshit of an owner took over. And now you better playoffs. The fans there are not just bandwagon pink counters that show up in the 7th inning at Fenway to listen to Sweet Caroline. No, they're real fans. Point is, the fan base is going to start, look, they have sports talk here. They have all kinds of stuff here. You think the owners don't know what the fan base thinks?
The fans have been trashing the owner since his inception.
And right now, he may lose the club.
The fans would love that.
Yes, they would.
I'm not saying this is about the fans.
Well, eventually...
This is about the organization.
Eventually, if enough people stop going, like at that Nationals game, right, because that guy had to come out and give a press conference before that horror show, and they won the day before, he still had to come out and feel compelled to explain his bullshit.
Well, but I mean,
okay?
there was nobody at the press conference.
Well, the reporters were there.
Maybe the Mets reporters.
Somebody, it was on ESPN.
I mean,
Somebody reported
are
it.
there even Nats
He
reporters?
wasn't talking to nobody.
Is there really a publication in DC that's like, hey, we need you to go cover the Nats game?
They're covering it.
You think they waste their time on that?
I think the national media was there, and they're covering both. Just one of them happens to be
I
a
think you're
doormat. Just happens to be a doormat.
But don't you think
But
that's
it was on ESPN.
Hey, but don't you think that's funny when a team is completely irrelevant and there's a publication that's still following and covering them?
Because the other team in the race is not.
Right, but I mean...
And they have large fan bases. And if you're...
Right, and the fan base will stick around. That's kind of the cool part about that.
The real ones will.
Now, they're not going to follow it precisely.
I should say, that's not true. The real ones will get mad and eventually say, you know what, fuck you, I'm not spending my money to put a quality product in the field. And by the way, that's their right. And I encourage, when I had my rant a few
But
weeks ago about them, I said
even those
that.
fans will peek at an article here and there. They'll still
Yeah.
look up a score just to
See
be
if
like,
they're changing.
All right, what'd the Mets do? What'd the
Yeah,
Nats
are they
do?
changing?
Yeah.
Nope,
Yeah.
still suck. So it's like, the media is necessary to keep you. It's information. It's information. You need to have it to know, is it worth spending $300 on a ticket or not?
Dear God, we've done 33 minutes on this?
Well, that's how we roll. So anyway, we're going to end this segment on one thing because we're not going to end this segment without ranting about this. I am beyond bullshit right
Dear
now.
God, we're already at 33 minutes.
We're going to cut this segment off. When I come back, we're going to start with my rant in the next segment. We're going to go from oh really, coach, to the whiny, bitchy, take the tampon out. I can't say that here. Kevin Durant, who is campaigning to eclipse Donald Trump as public enemy number 1, and he's on his way. He's on his way. I think Donald Trump's going to have to go deep into his bag of tricks to overcome this, to one up Kevin Durant on this one. So you get one more cold bear, Drew, back on the other side.